This is a story of how a PowerPoint actually helped kill 7 people. Hyperbole, you're thinking? It's not. We've all sat through these type of presentations. A speaker, like myself, with a stream of slides full of text, monotonously reading them off as you sit there reading along. Typing text on a screen and reading it out loud does not count as teaching. An audience reading text off the screen does not count as learning. But I said this is a story of a PowerPoint slide that actually helped kill 7 people. So let me get to it. January 16th, 2003, the Space Shuttle Columbia launches. Their mission? To study the effects of microgravity on the human body and on ants and spiders. The launch proceeded as normal. The crew settled into their mission. They would spend 16 days in orbit. 1 day into their mission, it was clear to those back on Earth something had gone wrong. As a matter of protocol, NASA staff reviewed footage from an external camera mounted to the fuel tank. At 82 seconds into the launch, a piece of spray-on foam insulation, we'll call it Sophie from here on out, fell from one of the ramps that attached the shuttle to its external fuel tank. The piece of foam collided with one of the tiles on the outer edge of the shuttle's left wing. It was impossible to tell from Earth how much damage this foam, falling 9 times faster than a fired bullet, would have caused when it collided with the wing. The tile the foam had struck was on the edge of the wing designed to protect the shuttle from the heat of Earth's atmosphere during launch and re-entry. In space, the shuttle was safe, but NASA didn't know how it would respond to re-entry. There were a number of options they could have taken. The astronauts could perform a spacewalk and visually inspect the hole. NASA could just go ahead and launch another space shuttle to pick up the crew, or they could risk re-entry with the Columbia. So officials sat down at NASA with engineers from the Boeing Corporation, who took them through 3 reports, a total of 28 PowerPoint slides. There was data showing the tiles on the shuttle wing could tolerate being hit by the foam, but this fact was based on test conditions using foam more than 600 times smaller than the foam piece that had struck the Columbia. More than 600 times smaller. This is the slide the engineers chose to illustrate this point. Do you see it? Well, neither did I. Now, I'm no rocket scientist, but this slide is overwhelming. NASA, though, concluded while the engineers didn't know what would happen, all data seemed to point to there not being enough damage to put the lives of the crew in danger. They rejected the other options and pushed ahead with Columbia re-entering Earth's atmosphere as normal. On February 1st, 2003, Columbia was scheduled to land at 9:16 Eastern. Just before 9, well over 6,100 meters above Dallas, and at 18 times the speed of sound, temperature readings on the shuttle's left wing were abnormally high. Then the readings stopped. At 9:12, ground control heard reports from the residents near Dallas that the shuttle had been seen disintegrating. Columbia was lost, and with it, her crew of 7. As a result, the shuttle program went on lockdown, grounded for 2 years as the investigation began. The cause of the accident became clear. A hole in a tile on the left wing caused by the foam let the wing dangerously overheat until the shuttle disintegrated. So why, given that the foam strike had occurred at a force massively out of test conditions, had NASA proceeded with re-entry? We go back to the PowerPoint. You see, humans communicating with PowerPoint, that was the problem. Edward Tufte, a professor at Yale University and an expert in communication, reviewed the slideshow that Boeing engineers had given NASA, and he found the slide had a misleadingly reassuring title, claiming that test data pointed to the tile being able to withstand the foam strike. As we know, this was not the case. But see, this title helped Boeing's message be lost almost immediately. Next, the slide contains 4 different bullet points with no explanation of what they mean. Interpretation is left up to the reader. Is number 1 the main bullet point? Do the bullet points become less important or more? NASA managers had to imply a hierarchy of importance in their head. Thus, the writing lower down and in smaller font was ignored. Actually, this had been where the contradictory and most important information was placed. Also, there is a huge amount of text, and vague terms are used. For example, sufficient is used once, significant and significantly 5 times, with little or no quantifiable data. How much is significant? Finally, the single most important fact that the foam strike had occurred at forces massively out of test conditions is hidden at the very bottom. If the audience had even managed to keep reading to that point. In the middle, it does say that it is possible for the foam to damage the title, but this is in the smallest font. NASA's subsequent report criticized technical aspects, along with human factors. Their report mentioned an over-reliance on PowerPoint communication. At the time of writing, it is estimated that 30 million PowerPoint presentations are made every day. Yet PowerPoint is blamed by academics for killing critical thought. So once again, typing text on a screen and reading it out loud does not count as teaching. An audience reading text off the screen does not count as learning. Imagine if the engineers had put up a slide with just, quote, foam strike more than 600 times bigger than test data. Maybe NASA wouldn't have attempted re-entry. Next time you're asked to give a talk, remember the Columbia. Don't just jump onto your laptop and write out slides of text. Think about your message. Don't let that message be lost amongst text. Death by PowerPoint is a real thing. The future is in your hands.